Hey guys, it's Tiny Tom Logan. Oh, I clapped quite loud then, didn't I? Anyway, it's Tiny Tom Logan back with another video for you. Today we're going to be looking at the Gigabyte UD3R V2. Now, I have had this kicking around for a little while, and after we did the Sabertooth, and we kind of hurried the Sabertooth through, I really wanted to have a look at the V2 because the Sabertooth threw up some very, very good results. And I was looking at the Gigabyte kind of with an open mind to see on how good it would be, because the UD3 V1 was kind of on par, if not a little bit under, the P6 X58A, and what they did with the V2 was increase the power phases on the board around the CPU socket, among other things. It's 12 power phases around the socket to allow much better overclocking, or at least that's what that's it in theory. And that's really the long and short of the changes. There are a few minor changes, but that's the ones that I personally, and probably most of the people that are watching this video, are going to be interested in. So, I've got it set up beside me now. I'm going to bring you in for a look around the board, and then I'll move you back again and I'll tell you about the performance, tell you my thoughts on the board and some of the stats and stuff, because it was a bit of an eye-opener. Anyway, let's get you in so you can have a better look. Right then guys, without wanting this to end up too much like a robot review, you can see the layout of the board here, and there's a few things that I want to pick out. One is the amount of SATA slots down the side. There's a total of 10 there across 2 controllers. But one of the main things is the fact that we've got 2 PCI Express 1s at the top, and then we go into the first PCI Express 16 slot. Now, although this may not look like it makes a massive difference, but when you put a graphics card in, it means you've actually got quite a bit of room around your North Bridge area. Rather than it being sandwiched right up against it, there's quite a bit of room there. So you're going to get quite good airflow around there, and it also keeps the graphics card from being smack bang up against like your heatsink and stuff. And then your heatsink all sapping up all the air of your graphics card, so there's quite a bit of air around there. So that's a good thing. You can run SLI, and you can also run what they say it's triple SLI compatible. You just need to make sure, if you're thinking about running a second card, you're probably not going to buy this board anyway, but you will have a slot that hangs off the end of the motherboard. A lot of cases nowadays do have the 8th slot anyway, so it's not too much of a problem. I find it a little strange, because I personally would have liked that PCI bracket there and this PCI Express to have been changed around, mainly because I probably see that most people that buy this, if they're going to have multiple card setups, probably just going to have 2. So if you would have changed those around, you could have had one graphics card here like this, missed that slot so they're not sandwiched right in together, and then if you'd had your second graphics card here, it wouldn't have mattered what case you had, because it would have just been going on the final 2 slots, and you would have also left that spare slot for the top card to have been able to have breathed. So just a layout issue. Yeah, I would have much preferred those to have been swapped around, but just to explain, I understand why not. Because if you put that PCI Express there, or you put that PCI slot up there, and then you'd had your graphics card in, but you needed to use this PCI slot, then you wouldn't have been able to. So it's the lesser of 2 evils. So I understand why, but it's just because I'm not going to use a PCI slot at all. But I understand a lot of people will. Now, a lot of people always ask, does such and such a cooler fit? Does that cooler fit? Well, you can see comfortably we've got a Noctua, an HD 14 on here, and it fits with loads of room. I can get my hand underneath all the mounts, so you've not got any issues there whatsoever. You can also see the Mushkin radioactive around there. Now, I don't know about you, but that yellow and the blue I actually think goes really well together. So if there's any of you out there looking at getting a Gigabyte board, I'd seriously give that Radioactive a think about. Now when we come round the back, it's general Gigabyte. I'm not going to bring you around because it's just an I/O, but you've got onboard audio, two USB 3 slots. In total there's 4 native USB 2 slots. There's 2 USB 2 and eSATA. There's a Firewire, a mini Firewire. There's optical audio, there's coax audio, and then there's 2 PS2s, one for mouse and one for keyboard. So plenty of support there. There's a CMOS button around the back as well. So pretty much the board, do you know what I mean? It crams everything on there. The blue PCB isn't going to be, you know, on the top of most people's lists, but at the end of the day, it's one of the better looking blue boards out there. It's also got the dual BIOS, which I'll talk to you about in a little minute. But there you go. Yeah, that's your close-up look of the board. Right then, so you've had a look around the board, and as you can see, there's a few little things there that I kind of picked up, but I just wanted to explain to you why I understand where they are, but at the same time, for, you know, my thoughts where I wouldn't really use a normal PCI slot, then, do you know what I mean, there's no point in me even having one there, to be quite honest with you. But at the end of the day, they've got to try and make it, you know, good for everyone. So hopefully you kind of you understand where I was coming from in explaining both sides of the story. Now, nitty gritty, let's get down to performance. Maximum clock I managed to get out of this, base clock wise, was 218 base clock on my 950 versus 212 on the Sabertooth, so it a little bit better there. Max clock to be able to boot into Windows was 4.6 GHz. The Sabertooth did beat it on that one. With the Sabertooth I managed to get nearly 4.7, but it was basically what it was is it was 200 times 23 with the Gigabyte and 203 times 23 with the Sabertooth. So the just a little bit of difference on the actual base clock itself. Maximum usable clock 4.4 GHz, lovely, which is exactly the same as what I got on the Sabertooth as well. Now, clock for clock, it appeared that the UD3R pulled ahead, and in some benches it did, but on the graphics based benches and benchmarks it was mainly because of, it was only sort of like a couple of 100 points in it, and it was more than likely because when I tested the Sabertooth I was using the 10.9s ATI drivers, and on this I've been using the 10.10s, but all the tests were done with just a stock 5870. We were talking, it was quite literally a few hundred points in it. The Sabertooth was 20,888 and this was 20,990 something, so there's not a massive amount in it, so it's very, very close. I would actually go as far to say that they it was almost like they were brothers. They were very, very closely matched, and it was a bit of a shame really, because I was hoping one was going to win out completely, so it actually made it sort of like, yeah, this is actually not, you know, you want to avoid this or you really want to buy this, but it's just one of those ones where you can't really distinguish that much between the two. And although for a reviewer it kind of makes our life a lot easier, because I prefer it when one sort of like storms ahead, because both the boards are roughly the same price. They perform very, very similarly, which is something I wasn't expecting, because I honestly thought that Sabertooth was going to rip this one a new ring, a new one, because the Sabertooth, from the boards that I've tested before, was amazing. But yeah, this one was kind of even in a few places. This one was nudging the Sabertooth out of the way. So the long and short of it is, because I'm not going to bore you with gaming stuff, do you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, we've got quite a lot of graphics cards and games coming up, so I don't want to bore you with loads and loads of videos for this, but the long and short of it is, if you don't like the look of the Sabertooth, or you're a Gigabyte fan, and you've only got £150, £160 to spend, you can do a lot worse than buying this. It's what I would call, it's the budget enthusiast end of the market. There are cheaper X58s from Gigabyte, but this is where they first come in and you get kind of the overclock options and stuff like that. So, or more overclock options, and there's more on the board. So for 160 quid, it's a bloody good board actually, and I have to say it surprised me. I honestly wasn't expecting it to be as good as it was. So yeah, it's quite a strange one really, because like I said, I honestly wasn't expecting it to be as good as it was. It's overclocked as well as the Sabertooth. It's picked the Sabertooth in some of the benchmarks. The memory sort of side of it, even though we've been using the same memory timings and everything across the board, the memory's been a little bit better in places. Yeah, it's been a strange one. So really, the only thing that I can really distinguish between the two as far as the layman and kind of the people on the other side of the camera is going to be concerned is, do you want to buy an Asus? If not, buy this. Do you not like the look of the Sabertooth? If not, buy this. At the end of the day, both boards are absolutely cracking. Both boards come in at exactly the same price point. And really, this is the type of thing that is great for the consumer, because rather than you buying a board and then finding out something, you know, like the other brand makes one that's 10 times better, they're actually very, very closely matched. So in some respects it's good, and then in some respects it makes it incredibly difficult to choose between the two. So really, there is no bombshell, other than the fact that the Gigabyte was a lot better than I was expecting, and I do mean a lot better than I was expecting. So a big thumbs up to Gigabyte there, because the changes on this really did make a wealth of difference. Definitely overclocks better than the original V1, and I'd also go as far as to say the stability was a heck of a lot better as well. So I'm going to love you and leave you, because there's going to be quite a lot of stuff coming from me over the next week to 14 days. There's an awful lot of kit coming out. If you've found this video for the first time and found my bearded self, then make sure you subscribe and comment. Don't forget to like, favourite, all that kind of stuff. But something I do want to say to all of the YouTubers out there is I'm finding it incredibly difficult now to keep up with all of my messages, all the personal messages. Now this isn't, don't stop sending me personal messages, but if it's something that you want help with, that's going to end up being a lot of questions, I get lost, because I never know what I've said to you before, because I've already answered 15, 20 questions since the last time. So I'm now sort of saying to everyone, if you need help, then go to the Overclock 3D forums, introduce yourself as being from YouTube, and do you know what I mean, that I've sent you and all that kind of stuff. But at least in the forum thread, I can see, you know, I can look through your questions and the answers and stuff that I've given you a lot easier, and it just makes my life 10 times easier. Plus, forum members at Overclock 3D are absolutely cracking, and there's a lot of lads there that will be more than willing to help you out. I think you'll be quite surprised how much of a family feel there is there. But anyway, we've gone slightly off topic. Gigabyte, UD3R, V2, an absolute cracker really. It's proper caught me by surprise. So for now at least, this is Tiny Tom Logan, out.